Okay guys, let me know if you can actually hear me or not this time. Before the microphone was broken and we had to restart the feed. We are still trying to do the whole thing of getting multiple chats up so I can read the stuff on YouTube, read the stuff on Facebook and the stuff on Twitch. So fingers crossed. I'm currently listening to the Birds of Prey soundtrack on the headphones because unfortunately Facebook Live does not like music in the public domain, and Twitch you can kind of get away with it, but if you upload the video later it can be muted, so I'm just doing it on the headphones so I don't have to listen to that royalty-free music anymore because it was starting to drive me nuts. Any luck over there, Daniel?
No, not yet.
Not yet? Okay. Okay, I think I'm going to choose for now the Twitch chat.
It's working on the roof.
Okay. I wonder if this is going to give me a bunch of feedback if I open up this chat on the window. We'll see. This is cool. I could almost watch like multiple streams while streaming. That would be crazy. Let's see if I can find my own channel on here. I feel like every day that I do this streaming thing, I'm starting to learn a little bit more about it and getting like more efficient at it, which is good. I like these ears though, aren't they cute? They're like tiny little fluffs. I've got my giant chicken. He's so squishy. Chicken, you can sit up here. Chicken's like, I want headphones. I don't have any headphones here, chicken. What have you about? You go on that side. Stay. That's a little better. I'll shuffle this way for the chicken. Okay, back to trying to find the Twitch chat. Or I can just do the Facebook one, I guess. Hang on. Let's try that.
Let me see if you do it.
Oh my god, in this song it totally just mentioned a chicken. It's great. I so want to sing out loud to these songs, but then I'm like also hyper aware that I'm on the headphones, so it'll just like sound really weird. Okay. Just like lip syncing away. That was a good song. It's good. Oh, I got a message from Danny. It says, try this. Hopefully I want to be able to do it from my phone. Would be ideal. Diamonds are a girl's best friend. Hooray! The chat is waiting for new messages. Can somebody do me a favor? If anybody's actually online right now, can you just type something? It doesn't matter if you're on YouTube, Facebook, or Twitch. I'm trying to figure out if this thing is actually working or not. Aw, someone said I had a beautiful voice. That's very kind. This is like kitten cam. There's a bunch of people. It says hello. Testing. But is it going to show up here? Oh my god, it's working! Hooray, guys! It's working. Yeah. Okay, let's have a look. Hello from Twitch. Savage Bastard says, in an alternative history of the 19th century, Queen Victoria has married Vlad Tepes, better known as Count Dracula, leading to a reign of horror in which Whitechapel's Silver Knife, a murderer of vampire girls, threatens the new regime. God, that sounds like such a good book, and I'm really looking forward to reading it. Melissa Wales says, what song are you listening to? Right now, I am listening to the Birds of Prey soundtrack, and this is the Diamonds Are a Girl's Best Friend. And this is by Megan Thee Stallion, and it's pretty good. It's actually, and honestly, the whole soundtrack for Birds of Prey is pretty good. My dad actually helped make the movie, and we went to see it fairly recently, and I gotta say, it was just a really good movie. You know, I really, really enjoyed it. Someone says, I like your ears. Thank you, Haram. I like the ears too. I actually ordered some headset with the ears like attached, if you know what I'm talking about. They make these like cat phone ear set things, and I ordered some of those, but for now I figured I could try and like double them up, and it seems to be working right. It looks okay. Doesn't look bad. I'm just a little bouncing around on the camera because this song is very, very cute. Ivy Cool says, hello from Texas. Right now I can actually see where these people are from. I think the red plus button is YouTube. The purple one is Twitch. Can someone on Facebook shoot a message specifically on the chat? I want to see if it comes in. Haram says, where did you get those ears, if you don't mind me asking? No, you could totally ask. I've got a bunch here, and I'll tell you where there's these ones, and then I have these ones, which are from Blood Moon Fancy, and I like them because they actually match into my hair color really well, and they actually have little gems on the corner, which is kind of cool. And then the ones that I'm wearing, they're very old. I believe they're from Floofy Floofers, and they're the mini catties, and they were actually given to me in a cat ear like exchange that we did with a chateau. So girls would like send in an ear, and they'd have partners, and then the other girl would send them a pair of ears, and I thought, oh, I'm probably not going to get a good pair of ears out of it, and I sent a really gorgeous pair, and lo and behold, I got a really, really great, thoughtful pair of ears. So I was really like very happy with that, honestly. Yeah, the Facebook is the one that I'm missing. I have everybody else, so I guess I can just have both chat windows open. Great. Savage Passion says, assuming that the world does not end today, or doesn't end sometime, then your copy of Anno Dracula shipped out today. That's very exciting. The world is not allowed to end now, so that I can get this copy of this book. Yeah, the Facebook does not work. So what I'll do is I've got both chats open so I can check between them. So Chandela's over here on Facebook, Daniel's on Facebook, William's on Facebook. But for the restream stuff, I'll check over here. You found it? What did you find, Flo Kitten? My accent goes, I'll tell you why my accent goes in and out, Tony. I was born in Guildford, Surrey, which is just south of London. So predominantly my accent is a British South accent. However, I moved to America over a decade ago, and so because I've been living here so long now, a lot of words that I've picked up have a bit of a Colorado specific twang on them. And I'll give you an example. Like in England, we'll say that's beautiful, that's really beautiful, you know. Whereas in America, they'll say that's beautiful, beautiful. So I say that a lot now instead of with the T on it, you know. Or like in England, we'll say river, that's a river. In America, we'll be like river, river. Or in England, we'll say pleasure. That's very pleasurable. And in America, you guys will say, no, you don't say that. Hang on, no, I've got it wrong. It's leisure. So, okay, wrong word. In England, we'll say leisure. Like this is a very leisurely activity. And in America, you guys will say, this is leisurely, leisure, instead of leisure. So a lot of the words are kind of different, even though obviously we're speaking the same language. They've just kind of developed differently. So when I talk, I have this weird mixture at this point where it's still predominantly UK sounding, but some words I favor in the American. That's just what it is. Spoiler alert. Spoiler what? Savage Pasta. Spoiler alert. There are a lot of Victorian culture heroes, heads on pikes, when Vlad comes to the English crown, so get ready for tears. I don't know, I'm kind of into dacrophilia, which is like the fetish for people crying. Sorry, chicken, I didn't mean to knock you. I pet you. He looks kind of fat sitting there. Yeah, maybe that's a bit better. He just looks like a sad marshmallow, you know? Like he's just kind of unhappy with life in general. It's just like having my own quiet dance party. Melissa says, I'm writing a vampire book right now. That's cool. I hope everything will be fine since I can finish it. Well, okay, here's a great piece of trivia for you that should keep you going. When there was the Great Plague, and keep in mind, like COVID-19 was, it's, 200,000 people have been infected and 6,000 people have died, and it's crazy. If you look at something like the Black Plague, it killed 200 million people in history. That's a crazy large number. But the point is, Melissa, you were talking about you're writing your book and you're like, I hope I can get it done. While there was the Black Plague, Shakespeare was in quarantine and he wrote King Lear like while he was in quarantine. So it just goes to show sometimes quarantine can be really great for like creativity. And it makes me wonder if Neil Gaiman is just like knocking out really good books right now, you know? I need a tea refill. Okay, let's check on the Facebook. I'm going between the two. Marlbuff says, hello. Welcome to the feed. Angel, Marion, welcome from Facebook land. Mal says, how can I apply to be a kitten of the chateau? That's a great question. You can apply to be a kitten at www.thechateau.org, is in this address right up here in the corner. We go through applications once a month. I'm planning on going through the next lot on the 1st of the next month, just as a heads up. And we get on average right now like 900 to 1,000 applications, and we tend to pick, I mean, it used to be 5 to 6, but realistically I bumped it up a bit now and it tends to be more like 10 to 15. So you should definitely have a go and apply. The main rules are make sure you have 4 recent photos of yourself, preferably if they are with the cat ears, because when I'm going through the applications, the first things I throw out, if I'm going through like hundreds of applications, right, I'll check out the ones without cat ears, because it just lets me know if you're serious or not about the theme of the magazine, which is obviously cat girls and luxurious settings and champagne and tea and things like that. But your hair, makeup and stuff being done is really helpful. Professional pictures, if you can get them, really helpful. Like you have to pay for them. You can do TFP with a photographer, which is trade for portfolio, and they're usually quite happy to do that. This peppermint tea tastes really strange. I might have to go and refill the pot. I think I may have contaminated it with previous tea because it's got like a bit of a licorice taste in it. I bet that's what I did. No, it says peppermint on there. Oh, there's a picture of a waterfall. Whose waterfall is this that I'm looking at right now? What is this? Now I lost your Facebook people. Let's go to Twitch. Oh, hello Tony. Welcome. I didn't just fall in love with you because of your physical beauty. I fell in love with you because your deep psychological insight into Aleister Crowley's soul. My God, who are you? What's going on? Tony, do I know you? Do we know one another? You're obviously a practitioner of the left-hand path. I haven't made an occult esoteric video in some time. I am going to have to refill this tea because it tastes awful. I just don't want to do it, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. Will you guys be able to like hang out with yourselves for a second? Whoa, as I whack myself in the face with the thing. I'm intrigued by this Tony chat. The chat has gotten hot and I'll be back. I'm just going to literally pour some more hot water. You guys can see the tail on the way out. Damn, do you know who that tail shop is? I'm curious. Tea must be still a bit back on.
So I disconnected the Facebook because it wasn't working, but
Yeah, the rest of it's working, so just scraping between two, it's working a lot
I
better.
re-added it, so that's
We add it? You think it might work now?
If you want the Facebook stream to come back on, you have to stop and start again.
You think it will come back on as well?
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to stop. I'll just go, it's good to have for the future, right?
No, I don't know if we're working for you either. It just said something like, yeah, it was working.
Okay. Understood. Okay, I'm back. With my refill. Putting it down on this not saucer. Hello. I have returned. I'm gonna put my music back on my head now. See if I can carefully. Look at that. Did it. Great success. Okay. Going back to the chat now. Pulling it down slightly. Great. Checking the restream. Left Hand Path is a cool VR game on Steam. I actually have not, I've not played that. I might have to check that out. Is it like related to the occult? I'm assuming it must be. But I mean, then again, I have so many dead boyfriends in the occult world, you know, or the esoteric world. So I mean, even some people who are not Left Hand Path, like Alan Watts, really think he's fantastic, and I very much enjoy listening to his voice. He's actually got a very similar accent to mine. But I recently saw a really weird Alan Watts video where he was talking to a plant and he was kind of like
That was great.
practically making love to this plant on this Daniel in the background. It's like, that was great. It was weird. Definitely changed my perception of Alan Watts a little bit. I'm also a big Anton Robert Wilson fan. I like his Illuminati books. That, and a lot of people don't know, he was actually an editor for Playboy for a while. It's kind of cool. Oh, Melissa said a cute tail. Thank you. I appreciate that. It's very white. Oh, wait, check this out. I have a beautiful pink fluffy one too. I know, but they're kind of different colours. One's like baby pink, the other one's champagne. I still want to know who this Tony guy is. Tony, who are you? Victoria Saints, welcome. Love the teacup. Oh, there's a story behind this teacup. I was telling it early. This teacup was actually a present from my girlfriend from Williamsburg, Colonial Williamsburg. It's actually a replica of a 1700s American teacup. I really like it because, as many of you know, I used to study archaeology and fancied myself a bit of an Egyptologist, but I do like historical things, so this teacup was great. In fact, the house I grew up in was built in the 1400s, so it's a very old property. The dresser looks 1800s, says Lucian. Which dress? Are we talking about this dresser? This dresser, give you an archaeology lesson, is from the 90s. But it is designed to look older than it actually is. So it has the look of an antique dresser. So I can understand why you might think that it's old, but it's unfortunately not. What else we got here? Jade. Hello from Montana, says Jade Firestone. Have you had a good... yes, it's a bit different this year from what with the quarantine going on. That's true, Jade, I agree. I'm glad I got to catch your live feed. You're absolutely gorgeous as always. Someday I'm going to come out and visit the chateau. It's a life goal of mine. Well, we'd love to have you here when we're not... In fact, there's a funny story. I have these beautiful roses. Check this out. Maybe I can grab one. I got these lovely roses today. I have a whole bouquet of them. And Christina, who's one of the Chateau kittens, she came all the way down to the springs and her car got stuck. And here, when I say it's snow, okay, it is deep, deep snow. And she's still, like, walked all the way through into the drive-thru at the chateau in thick snow, like up to her knees, trudging along with this huge bouquet of roses just to deliver them. And obviously, Daniel and I are still in quarantine, so I was like, you can't come in because I don't want to kill you and get you sick. So we were like having this exchange outside in the snow, and I was like, just put the roses down in the snow and I'll pick them up. It was hilarious, but it was really sweet of her. And it turned out her car had actually gotten stuck, so Daniel had to go and shovel her out and stuff, but she was okay and she's safe, which is the main thing. But the roses are beautiful, and it's the first fresh flowers I've seen in forever because I can't stop smelling because they're lovely. It's because I've been trapped in quarantine for so long. It was such like a refreshing burst of energy, and God knows I appreciated it deeply. So thank you, Christina, if you watch this later. Greetings, Daniel. Daniel Carroll. What's the oldest thing that you own, says Francisco. Well, the oldest thing that I own is actually thousands of years old, and it's from antiquity. It's a Egyptian ring that's actually a funerary ring, so it came off of a mummy. And it's made of what we call fiancé, which is it's like a type of Egyptian stone that's like a light green, and it's not much to look at, but it's a very, very old ring. I've owned other ancient Egyptian artifacts in my time. In fact, Daniel had gotten me an Obarusu ring, which is the snake that's eating its head, which was also very, very old, and it was actually stolen by my archaeology teacher. I'm certain of it, and so if you're watching this, I know it was you. But I was in tears in my archaeology lecture because we were actually cleaning off Roman artifacts because we were doing a field dig, and I took the ring off my finger and I put it on the table to keep it safe because it was so precious. I didn't want to lose it or destroy it or anything like that. And by the end of the class, I had gone to the loo, or as you call restroom in America, and I came back and it was gone. And nobody would own up to who had taken it, but I'm pretty sure I feel like it was actually the professor himself. So that's a true story. But other than that, I have owned other artifacts. I had a scarab, which also came from when I used to wrap up mummies in Egypt, they'd put different kind of like totems and items to protect in the different layers, and so it was this little scarab, and my brother had actually purchased that in America. He was actually at Columbia University, and while he was there he purchased that for me. So I have a couple of things that are very old, but they're not here. Only the ring is here in America, the rest is in England. Oh, Jade said that's a lovely rose. So it says, I love you. Ring sounds like yes, that's right. That's exactly, although I can't pronounce it, because I'd be like, Ouroboros. Clint has reacted to your video. Thank you for the reaction, Clint. Now let's go look at the Twitch people. Oh, it's a bunch. Oh my god, there's so much chat. I gotta scroll through it. Hang on. Would you mind explaining the chateau for those of us who are a little bit new, please? Absolutely, totally. Happy to do so. The chateau, which we're sitting in, right? This is the chateau. The chateau is a physical place, obviously, but predominantly it is an online magazine dedicated to chateau kittens, so cat girls. Kind of like you've got the Playboy bunnies, like that kind of modelling, but with the kitten ears. It is actually a no nudity site, as we believe there's a lure in more, but there's gorgeous photo sets with so much content and videos and articles available. We also do events at nightclubs everywhere from Vegas to Colorado to New Orleans. But it's really fun, and it's a bit like a sorority sisterhood as well, because it gives the girls a sense of friendship and camaraderie we get from it, which is really cool. Yeah. What's this one? The keyboard is broken. I have to use my phone in the meantime. I apologize, totally okay. I did not notice your lack of capitals or your grammar there, so don't you even worry about it. I'm awful. Like every time I use my phone, it is typos left and right. Pitching woo to the plants. I have no idea what that means. I don't think it's Crowley inspired, but it's all about waving you around to cast spells. That sounds very chaos magician-esque. We call it chaos magic. It's like you would just be like, make it work. Where it says, I don't think it's Crowley inspired. Oh wait, no, I read that one word. What shops are your tales from? This tale, well actually most of my tales to be honest, come from a Ren Fair. And I'm a big Ren Fair fan. Here in Colorado it comes in the summer months, but I don't know if it's going to be coming this year with the coronavirus stuff. I'm really, really hoping the Renaissance Fair comes, because it's my favourite. I love to buy dresses and everything, but mostly tails. This tail as well came from the Ren Fair, and they actually have a Chateau Kitten discount. So if you go and you say that you are a kitten with a magazine, they give you 8% off. So that's kind of cool. Thank you. I do think she's adorable as well, and it is a very, very sweet gift. I like it a lot. Wow. Welcome, Big Papa Poopampic. I cannot pronounce that username for the life of me. I tried. Lord knows I tried. Yeah, it was very... Jade, I agree. That was very sweet of Christina to deliver these. I would almost show you, but there's so many of her, and I'm not gonna carry them over here. Plus, they still have their thorns on them, so they're armed. Right now I'm listening to Kylie Minogue. I really loved her in Moulin Rouge, where she played the Absinthe Fairy. It was cool. People are messaging me in this other group. What do you want, Brandon? Take a break from your vlogging and knock this out. I have no idea what they're talking about. I'm totally just going to ignore it because I have no idea. They're talking about something. Taking a break from vlogging and knocking something out, but I don't know what. Oh, I hope Ricky's doing okay. I have been a wee bit worried about him today. Okay, I'm pulling back over to Twitch. Oh, there's a bunch more. I keep missing all this chat. It's just scrolling by. Let's see. Okay. I've appreciated your content, says Thomas of Tibur. It's a great username. Thomas of Tibur. I appreciate your content ever since I saw your Royal Courtesan video. I'm glad to see that you're making videos more often now. Thank you. I didn't know anyone had actually ever watched that courtesan video, and that really pleases me. Because we're talking about archaeology, but I also have a soft spot for more modern history. But I really like the 1700s French history is fascinating to me. And courtesans are great. What kind of stream is this? It's a catgirl stream. It's dedicated to the chateau and catgirls everywhere. It contains a variety of topics. Some days you get to watch me be Bob Ross and I paint paintings. Other days you get to watch me poorly play chess. Other days you get to watch me play dating sims that don't actually load because I run a Mac. So it's a whole world of opportunity, really. Yeah, mostly it's just a chat stream. I chat about random things that you bring up. Melissa says, I love old things too, but I'm more of a mid-Victorian person. If you want to know my favourite time period, it's actually the 1880s. And I like the 1890s up until the Belle Epoque, but I really love the bustle gown period, that kind of very hyper-romantic era. Before the Gibson Girls, as it were. Yes, I am. He's sitting in the other room. How are you today? Satine, I'm doing better than I was yesterday. I'm not having a meltdown, so that's a plus. I'm just like, the world's ending and everything's great. Because that's all you can do, right? All you can do is kind of laugh and hope it all works out. Someone said Blizzard tonight, and I can't tell if you're talking about Blizzard, the game production company for World of Warcraft, or the fact that there's totally like blizzards happening in Colorado now, because it was kind of crazy weather today. Like really crazy weather. Yeah, I really do need a PC. That, my friend, is true straight. Look, you can see my, what's on this side? My neat Plague Doctor mask. Don't make me put this on and role play with you guys. I'll come for you if you have to. Don't get sick. Social distancing. Yeah, I attempted gaming, but it failed. My computer couldn't handle it. I was like, computer, you've been a very, very naughty boy. Or girl. I don't know its gender. Or whatever it wants to be. Christina is so sweet. Actually adore her. I agree. I adore her too. Yeah, the one difficult thing about this chat thing I'm using is if I don't scroll down, you guys keep talking and then I don't realize you said things, so I have to like manually scroll down. Yeah, definitely need a PC. For instance, I have a book on necromancy from 1792. Damn it, I need that book. That's amazing. That's amazing. I really desperately, I don't even know what book that is, and I'm like, I need it for my vast library. And we do have a vast library here at the chateau with a beautiful mosaic floor and a throne. It's gorgeous. Hello, Annette. Welcome to the feed. It's quite lively here tonight. I like that. It's good. Thank you for hanging out with me, guys. I appreciate it. Reg says that's a nice rose. I've got like 20 others right behind. I actually put a really cool picture on Facebook, and it looks like a level 10 professional model shoot, but it's just a picture, a selfie I took on my phone in front of a window, but it looks really cool. DC Sensor says, I do hope things calm down for the festivals to happen. I am a bit worried about Burning Man. That's my... Obviously, as you guys know, we run a festival at Burning Man on the front line, right in the front, so I'm really hoping... Well, every time I try to lean back, this chicken goes flying, so I'm going to make sure it's actually stable, so if I lean on it, it's not going to get crazy. Everyone's always like, why do you sit on the floor? And I don't actually have a good answer for it. I don't know if it's just a cat thing or something, but like I really like sitting on the floor. I always have. That's a rock fact. And points if you know what that quote is from. Extra points. Are you doing okay, says Signals. I am doing better than I was yesterday. How about that? It's not like as life-ending as it felt yesterday. Yesterday I was like, it's all over. And it was all about the Colonel Sanders chicken dating sim triggered it. Like it just wasn't working and I couldn't get the stream to work. I was like, I'm not a real Twitch user, I can't play games. And I got really upset. And then my partner was in hospital and I just like, everything just escalated. And I was like, oh my god, if he dies, it's all my fault. And oh my god, it was crazy day. It was crazy. Rose says, roses are my favourite flowers, next only to cherry blossoms. Cherry blossoms are gorgeous. In fact, if I can pull this off for a second, I'll tell you a little story. When I was growing up in England, I lived in a very old house, and outside of my window there was a Tudor rose garden from the 1500s, and it was gorgeous. There was different roses. But there, in front of the rose garden, right in front of where I could see, was a gorgeous cherry blossom tree. And every spring it would just have the most beautiful flowers. And I loved it so much. In fact, the day that I had to move out of that house and leave it, I cried and I ran from the moving truck, and I didn't run back in the house. I ran over to this cherry blossom tree and hugged it. And that was the last thing I did before I left the house. And then the tragic part of the story is the people who bought the house did major renovations, even though it should have been a grade 2 listed property, which means it's so historical you can't touch it because it's so old. But unfortunately it wasn't listed. So they demolished the wall on the side of the house, ripped out the cherry blossom tree, and built an extension, a modern extension on the side of the house. And it really actually upset me a lot because I loved that tree so much, and now it's gone. That's history. Let's see what else you guys have to say. I'm going to pull it down. Annette says, it's good to see your live streams. I've been stuck at home. I have Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, so my doctors are making me stay home. Probably the best thing to do, honestly, with this pandemic going on. As they say, right, it's better to be safe than sorry. And, like, taking the time to social distance and be careful about that is the right thing to do. And I know it's hard. God, I know it's hard. I'm going mad from being stuck at home. It's just really starting to, like, hit me. It's really starting to hit home. Okay, what else here? Unfortunately, the last 3 years I've been through Denver, you've been out of town. I know, every single time without fail. Obviously not right now because I'm stuck in town. But as you know, with the events, we're either usually out in Vegas or down in Nevada land for Burning Man, or, you know, in New Orleans during October, or we were in Austin a lot last year as well for Texas. And then obviously for my birthday I like to do LA, though I don't think that's going to happen this year, which is really sad. No LA for me. Oh well. What else? Rose says, you're a good friend, Isabel, and he'll be okay, I'm sure. I really hope he will be. I really, really, really hope he will be. Yeah. Okay. And he says, Annette, I love your avatar. I can't see it because I'm on the restream, but I bet it's amazing. I bet it's wonderful. May I Mr. Father Mucker, that is a great username, says, may I grace your ears to some thick beats? Sure, I'd love to hear them. Oh my god, I'm so far behind in the chat. I'm like 5 minutes behind the rest of you guys. I'm just going to scroll through really quick. Original copy of the first edition of the Three Musketeers. What? Anthony says, I love the Three Musketeers. You know who is my favourite character? I used to watch the animated one too. My favourite character was always Milady Winter, and she was like this villain, and her and the Cardinal, he was hot. They would have like these secret hot meetings about how they were going to like overthrow or kidnap the princess and stuff. Or maybe it's Courtesan and the Queen, I don't know who it was, but it was hot, okay? Some sexy stuff. See, that's something I say in American English, it's hot. That's hot. But in American, that's hot. That's hot. Betty, hi. Welcome to the feed. Oh my god, I'm still so far behind. I appreciate people subscribing. I needed 50 people in order to get my Twitch affiliate going. Get that affiliate on. And we are at 80 today. We did it. My bell. Do you hear that? It's so loud. I actually made this collar today. It's cute, right?
Take a test.
Right, we'd be watching Neko Para. And apparently I could in theory stream it. I thought it was maybe too adult for boobs are falling out, staying boobs. I thought it was maybe too adult for Twitch, but apparently there's a whole subsection on Twitch where people stream Neko Para. So in theory, if I got a better laptop, like a Windows versus a Mac, sorry Steve Jobs, I don't mean to dishonor your memory, but if I got that, then I could possibly do a Neko Para stream while dressed like a Neko Para character. And here's some really exciting news. There's a new Neko Para game coming out, a new chapter volume, and it's called Neko Para Teen. And it has new characters, and I've always felt like I didn't resonate with any of the Neko Para girls, like the little kitten girls in the game. Just there's so many, and I just didn't really, none of them matched me. But there's a new character, and her name is Charlotte, and she's a blonde British long hair kitten, and she wears like a Victorian full length maid outfit, and I'm like, that's my character. Finally, and she even has the same bangs as me, so I almost had a moment of, what if, just hold on a second, one of the owners and the creators in Japan, because all my kitten play videos, maybe I inspired this character. It was a brief moment, because she looks like, I swear to God, when I say she looks so much the same in terms of the haircut and everything, you guys can look it up, it's crazy. I was like, is that a coinky dink? I don't know, but if it was, it would be the coolest thing in the whole world. But I was like, finally, a blonde British cat girl with the same hairstyle as me. I finally relate, so that's exciting news. Okay, I'm going through a chat. Next time I hit up the Sanders Cafe, I'm getting you pictures. Yes, please, get me my Silver Fox Daddy pictures. I need them. Because I love me some chickens and I love chickens to pet and to eat. It's a bit of a conflict. But I also love me some Colonel Sanders, anime style. He's like daddy goals. He's very, he's very, very sexy. That's all I gotta say about that. What? That chicken plush reminds me of your really old vlog in New Mexico. Some of it you stayed in a chicken-themed room. I'm dying right now. Are you serious? You watched that vlog? Casa de Chicken. Casa de Gallo. Daniel, what was it called?
Yeah, Casa de Gallo.
Casa de Gallo. Casa de Gaia, you're a hardcore fan. May I just give you a prize right now? May I just say you are the winner, Anna C. You are the winner of a prize I don't have right now, but you won. That was amazing. So yeah, many years ago, Daniel and I went to New Mexico, and I was doing vlogs pretty frequently, and I've actually started doing vlogs again now, but it's really hard to keep up with them because they're not as popular as doing a video like, oh, a kitten play ear video or here's a tutorial. People prefer that kind of content, but I personally enjoy making vlogs more. So I used to do all these like everyday vlogs, and we went to this really cute chicken themed like Airbnb in Taos, New Mexico, and they had real chickens that you could like pet and feed. And they had everything in the house was chicken themed. Like there were chicken cushions, and I had a chicken plush, not as fat as this one. He was kind of smaller, but it was super fun, and I'm just amazed and shocked that you remember that, and also feeling very privileged that you would even watch that. It makes me feel like my content of long ago did not go to waste. Rose says, my mother was going to get a cherry blossom branch tattoo. When I asked her why, she said she wanted a tattoo to represent me and my sister. That's really nice. I was so touched. Also, that's sad, oh goodness. Melissa says, I just read The Vampire by Polidori. Sorry, I had to stop there. The first vampire story, I believe. I loved it. I was wondering if you've read it before, and what are your thoughts about it? Well, shall we talk? Let's talk. This is definitely something I'm happy to talk about. So, Polidori was, you are correct, the first ever true vampire story in the modern sense of what we now consider in modern literature to be vampiric. My favourite little trivia about that particular piece of literature was its relation to Frankenstein and Mary Shelley and Lord Byron. All of them happened to be vacationing. And in fact, if you ever watched the movie Gothic, or if you're a Doctor Who fan, you might recently have watched a new episode that is actually dedicated to this very story. But they're all staying by this lake, right? And Byron makes he says, okay guys, it's boring and it's thunderstorming, and the reason it thunderstorms, there was actually volcanic activity and there was volcanic thunderstorms. They called it the darkest summer in history. Every day during summer it was pitch black skies and thunderstorms and lightning, and it was just really creepy and dark. And so they're all these, and they're fairly young at the time, right? They're all, I want to say we're in their 20s during this, and they're all kind of like, oh, what do we do with our time? We're young Regency kids, you know. And Byron's like, I know, I'm going to challenge you all to write gothic, scary horror stories, and whoever writes the best horror story of the night wins. And the people who were there staying with him was obviously himself, Lord Byron, Polidori, obviously he wrote The Vampire, and then Shelley and his wife Mary Shelley. And the most famous book to come out of that evening was Frankenstein. Mary Shelley wrote Frankenstein. Polidori that same night wrote The Vampire, and he himself was homosexual, well, bisexual, homosexual mostly, and so he wrote this very powerful vampiric book that's very dark but still has sensual elements in it, which, as we know, for vampirism holds true. And my favourite vampire book is Carmilla by Sheridan Le Fanu, a French author. And Carmilla is a lesbian vampire, and again it's a very erotic charged novel, also written in the 1700s. Carmilla predates Dracula and is actually the first female vampire predating Dracula. So before Dracula there was Carmilla, and she was a really badass vampire. You know, most vampires like Dracula, they turn into bats. Carmilla would turn into a cat. She turned into a large black cat, and she would jump on her female victims, and she wouldn't bite them on the neck like a usual vampire. She'd bite them on the breast right here. She's like chunk, And that's how she did it. And it's really cool, and it's actually a really great novel. If you get a chance to read Carmilla, I highly suggest it. It's really, really good. Okay, I'm going through these messages. I'm super far behind now. I'm not sure what flower my sister was going to be. I think it was daisies. Daisies are lovely. Going to distance learn the rest of this semester. That's good, and a thing that we will learn rapidly here, education and most other things in the world. A lot of things, including jobs, can be done online and at distance. So there's a good lesson in this. Annette says, I remember that vlog. My whole family's from Santa Fe. I remember messaging her when she went to 10,000 Waves because my uncle worked there for like 20 years. Wonderful spa. I love 10,000 Waves. For those of you who don't know, 10,000 Waves is a Japanese spa, very authentic kind of onsen that's based in Santa Fe, New Mexico, and I love it so much. Like it's one of my favorite places on the planet. A lot of people don't know this, even though it's like this beautiful Japanese spa. It's actually super haunted, like level 10 haunted. There's like books about it and stuff. I'm trying not to like. I see what's going on. Every time I lean on this, it kind of goes further back, and I'm like trying not to awkwardly like fall over on camera. But there's a lantern here. Look, a random lantern. Ah, I feel like I just got some item in a game. Kitten has achieved lantern. And I'm going to move this and use that so that I can actually lean back and relax, but not like fall over ridiculously on camera. Yes, but Santa Fe is amazing. It really is. And they have these beautiful... They actually have a restaurant now there that they didn't used to have, but they actually just... I'm not going to nip slip. They actually just added a couple of years ago, and it has amazing sushi and tempura and Japanese foods, and it's just... so good, guys. It's so good. Okay, I'm running through. Try cream for preventative care, aka tonic water. Tonic water is pretty good. Says you're wonderful. Thank you. I super appreciate that. And he says I lived in Merced, moving back to Diego. Realstream says congratulations, you've received around 100 messages today of Realstream chat. I got a little trophy. Granted, it's a virtual trophy, but that's still kind of cool. I know Realstream has like awards. Thomas of Tiber says, I have family in Colorado, specifically in Aspen and Crested Butte. We have friends in Aspen. Rose and Paul work up there in Aspen land, which is really cool. I love Aspen. I'm actually a big fan of the Jerome Hotel, which is one of the oldest hotels up there and also quite haunted. DC Center said there was an animated Three Musketeers. Yes, there was. I know, Betty says, I can't get over how weird it is for you to call me Betty, right? Instead of Elizabeth. I think it's weird too, but because I'm reading these names, I'm just like, Betty Chronicles. And he says, good kitten. Thank you, meow. Pet me, pet me. Pet me now! I'm in quarantine, you can't. Damn it. Okay. Big Pooper Pump THC says, love the collar. Thanks, I made it myself. True story. It's got a very loud bell. I like it. Liquid Fairy says, hey, from Sweden. Have you ever been to Scandinavia? Hello, Liquid Fairy. First of all, welcome to the feed. I've not actually graced the Scandinavian world. However, when I was living in Europe, well, at this time it was England, but I would travel to Europe, a lot of people presumed I was Scandinavian because of my fair skin and blonde hair. True story. Rose says, I've always wanted Chateau Cola. They're so gorgeous. Yeah, I'll totally show you this one. Hang on. Take it off. Haha, I'm free. Nobody owns me now. This one's a silver one with silver and blue gems, and then a little cute collar thing, bell thing, and it has the little chateau engraving on the inside, so you know it's authentic. That's some branding right now. That be some branding. Okay, I've got to scroll down to know what you guys are saying now. Because I'm in the past, whereas you're all in the future. I have a book of the poetry of John Dryden, which is from 1987. That's wonderful. I'm a big poetry fan too. I'm a really big Robert Browning fan, as well as Elizabeth Barrett Browning. And obviously I do like my Shelley as well. Let's see. Stetsengard Manor in Feyborg. I probably pronounced that terribly. Look, I got my phone back. The internet is mine. Look, it's Crowley. Oh, he's so handsome. What a handsome boy. It's true. Oh, FYI, says Furoy, Humble Bumble has Sakura bundle right now. You can get every Sakura game ever made for $10. Cool. Anthony says, I need some kitten ears and tails on site. Yes, definitely. Savage says, it's good to spend time with you. I'm going through this quickly. Anna says, I win. And I'm really in the past. Betty says, I miss the ghost hunting blogs. Man, I love ghost hunting. I miss doing that stuff too. Now would be a great time to go ghost hunting because everything's extra abandoned and nobody's leaving their house. So I could be like, Waverly Hills Sanatorium, bet that's deserted right now. They're actually great people. Don't trespass on their property if you're watching this. Savage Passion says, somebody told me the other day that I look like Oscar Wilde. That's great. Oscar Wilde was very, very handsome. Anthony says, are you a wolf girl? I'm actually a cat girl. But I do like wolves. I'm quite fond of them. They're good kind of creatures. T-Sensei Camille says, very awesome. Camilla's in public domain. You can read it free anywhere. That's true. Maybe. I just came up with an idea, guys. What if I did a stream where I read Carmilla online? That would be kind of cool, right? 1982 movie Cat People. That's a good movie. Rose says, I used to watch a YouTube Camilla series. Yeah. I watched that too. It was like kind of like this. It was like it was very early on before we really had Netflix or any of these mini web series that we now know. It was like the prototype of a web series, and it was based in, and it was like, I wouldn't say it was like a college dorm situation, and it was loosely based on Carmilla, but it would take place like in a web camera setting like this, which was kind of creative, and it was actually very popular for its time and very ahead of its time in some ways. So I liked that too. And he says, good movies. Yes, I've had ghost experiences since I was a child. If you have ghost experiences, feel free to write them in the chat because I love reading about people's paranormal experiences. Jesus says, a haunted, authentic Japanese spa. It's very awesome. Mom, this is how far I am behind, guys. I am trying to scroll through. Yes, I read Camilla twice before. Great book. Awesome. How is your Twitch channel spelled? My Twitch channel is spelled Isabella Karnstein, which is Isibella, and then Karnstein, which is Karnstein. Sorry. Isabella Karnstein. The movie 1982. Never seen that movie. Rose says, be doing my best to save up for an Aurora collar. Those Aurora collars are awesome. Because they're actually like genuine, like gold plated. So they have this particular shine on them, and they're just so pretty. So pretty. I don't even wear them because they're so valuable. Because I'm always losing them, so I have to wear like the less inexpensive collars, which is terrible. But I love the Aurora Borealis collars. They're absolutely gorgeous. They go for like $600 on the website. It's pricey, but it's worth it. And it says, unfortunately, my college is making classes online, which is great, except I'm taking swing dance class. I love swing dance. Are you doing Lindy Hop? What kind of swing are you indulging in? Going down. I'm just trying to get through this. I'm almost at the bottom, guys. I'm almost there. Katsuya says, I hope you get better soon at Betty Chronicles. Awesome. Oh my god, you asked for Carmilla readings. Good. That makes me happy. Look up Monica Crowley and say hi. I don't know who Monica Crowley is. You'll have to inform me so I know who that is. I'm in Nevada, Colorado. Decided to snow again. Oh my god, you're telling me. I'm here in Colorado Springs and it is just... I can't even begin to tell you how snowy it is here. I actually, on my feed earlier, if you guys are on Twitch, it saves the streams. At the end of the stream, I literally just put the laptop outside. Big mistake. When I came out, I was like covered in snow. Luckily, laptop's fine. But it's snowing so hard here. It's just crazy. Like, it's like blizzard level up to your thighs. Snow, not even knees, like thighs. It's so much here. It's crazy. Was practically snowed in. Annette says, in my house in Rio Rancho, my mum and I used to see a little girl in a yellow dress. It was super weird. I was very, very young, so I don't remember a lot, but my mum said I told her we had to... Interesting. Yeah. Yeah. The snow's the snow's bad in Denver too. I haven't been down there because I'm in quarantine, but that interests me to know that they had snow in Denver. I wasn't sure if it was like just like, yeah, don't know. I am going to go and refill this tea and then I shall be back. I will be back. Yes, I will. So don't go anywhere. Think of cool questions while I'm gone as I shake my tail. Think of cool questions to like ask me and then I'll read them out and answer, guys. Anything you want to ask in the world or any cool trivia you have. Good luck. Okay, I'm back for a second. I'm going to put these teacups down. I'm also going to put that horrible music that you guys don't like back on because it's a little bit quiet, you know? Where did I put that phone? It's right here. Aha! I have it. Haha! Okay. Let's pull this up super quick. Spotify. Continue. Let's move it over to piano. Play on piano. Cool. Turn it up for you guys for a second. Okay. I'll be right back. just stuffed a couple of biscuits in my mouth because it's important to remember to eat while you're streaming. A lot of people, I think, especially us girls, we have high metabolisms and we forget to eat food sometimes, so it's important to get the fuel in the body, you know? Okay, I'm going to check on your questions now. Let's see what you guys came after. Okay, oh my god. What kind of video games do you play? This is a good question. I'll answer. So, I played a lot of video games in my youth. I grew up in the 90s in the UK. So we had a NES and a Super Nintendo. We had the Cube, right? So I used to play games like Mario Party. My favorite game of all time was Super Smash Brothers. I just loved that. I used to play Mr. Game & Watch. Also the Sheik, like you know how Zelda could turn into Sheik as a character. I really enjoyed kicking people's asses really intensely, and I loved pretending like I didn't know how to play the game. So I had two older brothers and they would bring their friends over and they'd be like, yeah, do you guys want to play on a Nintendo? Hey, do you want your little kid sister to play? And I'd be like, oh, I don't know how to play, but sure. And then I'd pick it up and I would just kick their ass. It was great. It was like my favorite hobby to do, was just letting these like boys underestimate. You know, this is before like gamer girls were hot or whatever, so it wasn't like a thing back then, but I loved letting them underestimate me. I also really enjoyed Mario Kart. Not the original one, fine, whatever, but after that they had, well, I never got so many now, but this is in the beginning. I believe it was like version 2, and I used to play Wario, and there was some kind of glitch where Wario would always get the lightning bolts, you know, and my brothers used to think I had like hacked the game because I would always, and the lightning bolt would make your character spin and go really small, you know. And I hated Rainbow Road. That was like my least favorite track on that game. It was just terrible, really. I also played Zelda. Like I liked Majora's Mask. I really enjoyed playing that, and just for music in it. Like I can still to this day like remember all of the music from the Zelda games because they were so unique and great. And the same applies to, you know, I wasn't so much of like a PlayStation fan, but I did play Final Fantasy. I loved Final Fantasy 7, and then as I grew up and grew, you know, into a teenager, my brothers were never like into MMORPGs. They'd play things like Grand Theft Auto, and I really liked MMORPGs. I liked the idea that the internet could bring people together and that I could be playing with real people. So I used to spend a lot of time playing Ragnarok online, which was like a little pixelated, probably the earliest MMORPG. I mean, there's stuff like Mud, right? But this was one of the very early like graphics where you could have skills and fights, and it was very intensive, like a proper gaming system. So I loved Ragnarok Online. I played that for years, passionately. I played World of Warcraft when it first came out. Like they have Classic out now, so I guess you could say I was playing the Classic because they only had up to level 60. And I had an undead mage on the Horde side. This is before they had Blood Elves, obviously, because I totally would have played a Blood Elf if it had been available back then. But I played this undead mage, and I actually played on Argent Dawn, which was a roleplay server on the European servers. So I used to play with a lot of French and actually French Quebec folks as well, which was super interesting. I also played the Final Fantasy Online game. I thought that was really cool, and I played a bunch of other online games like the Star Wars one. I forget what it's even called now. I didn't play that for too long, so it just wasn't quite as engaging. And as I got older, I found I was playing games less and less. Right now I am playing a game called Dragon Raja, which is a phone-based game, and it uses the Unreal Engine, and I think it's really cool because the graphics are so beautiful in it. The gameplay is less compelling. I'm starting to get to a point where I've been playing it for a week and I'm getting a little bit bored of it. I also do have a Ragnarok Online for the phone, and it's just like the original Ragnarok, which I really like, but you can't really die in it, so it kind of loses a lot of the challenges that it had in the original game. but of course, I mean, you can die. What am I talking about? You can absolutely die in it. There's some game I played recently. What was it? Online, and it was some game I played as a kid, but instead, because of the game mechanics, you just couldn't die. And I was like, what a stupid thing to put into a game. You know, it lost that kind of like sense of threat or urgency that you need in a game to make it compelling to play. And I've been talking about games for way too long, so I'm going to stop talking about gaming because I'm sure it's very boring to you guys, even though we're on Twitch. I was reading an article, says Betty, about how tea was introduced in the 1600s. Yeah, I can tell you the story about it. So, in fact, Charles, who was the chap who did the restoration, and for those of you that don't know, the restoration was basically, we had this guy called Cromwell, Oliver Cromwell. He came in and he was really boring. God, he was such a boring guy. Not that I knew him or anything, but this guy's super boring, right? Comes into England, takes over, kills the first, Charles's father, who's also called Charles. He gets decapitated, right, by the people. His son flees and is raised in France in exile, right? And we had this really boring, oh my god, it was so boring, phase in England where everything was super religious and Puritan, and kind of like how early America was very Puritan as well, and things like Christmas were cancelled. You couldn't celebrate Christmas, you couldn't have parties, it was like punishable to dance or sing in your household, you couldn't have sex for pleasure, and basically everything that's good in the world was taken away by Cromwell. And the English were like, man, I wish we'd never decapitated Charles, like this is really boring. And so basically Charles came back, his son, Charles II, comes back, and they defeated Cromwell, and they put Charles on the throne, and he says, let's party. He says, let's really party. I'm reinstating Christmas, so Christmas parties, I'm bringing back the theatre, because theatre and plays got banned. He's like, in France, I've learned some really progressive stuff. Used to be in England with Shakespeare and everything that only guys could be in the theatre, and men would play women's roles, men would play girls. And he said, how about, crazy concept, with girls playing girls? And everyone was like, whoa, that's mind-blowing. And so we had women on the stage for the first time ever in Drury Lane Theatre in England. It's a very famous part of London, still exists today. It's kind of like the Broadway, like how in New York you'll have Broadway, kind of like that of England. And so everybody had parties, we had Christmas, there was orgies, it was great, and everyone was just super happy. And during that time, Charles was married to a princess, and she was from Portugal. She was a Spanish kind of princess, right? And when he met her, she had this crazy black wig that extended all the way out here, and he said, my god, I married a bat. And it's actually kind of funny, but she loved to drink tea, you know, and England at this time was really into drinking coffee. They were kind of like Americans are now. They had coffee houses, and coffee houses were actually very political places. Imagine Starbucks being like a very political place, right? So they'd all go and drink coffee. And they also used to drink alcohol throughout the whole day because water was too dangerous to drink. It would make you really sick. So you would drink diluted alcohol. So you'd have stuff like port, right? And it would be watered down. And you'd have watered down wines, and you'd drink that steadily. And she said, I like tea, and everyone laughed at her because she was this foreign princess in the English court. But of course, as we know, royalty are trendsetters, so she kept drinking her tea, and before you know it, all of England was like, hey, this tea stuff, not bad. Not coffee, but not bad. And then suddenly, before you knew it, everybody was drinking tea, and England became the tea-drinking nation that we know it is today. That's some history for you. Okay, what else do we have in this chat? Oh my god, I've got to keep scrolling down. I keep having strange, Izzy fever dreams from my illness. Betty Chronicles, Elizabeth, you must tell me your fever dreams. I'm really interested to know what they are. That's super curious. Savage says, kind of trivia. I remember the original Kitten Basket video, as well as a pole dancing night listening to Living Dead Girl and Bad Romance. I think we've known each other since 2005. Not 2005, because I definitely didn't know you then, but because I was very, very underage at that point. I definitely probably known you from 2008 or 2009. Probably likely 2010 or 11, because I met Daniel in like 2009, 2008. Desensitized, very awesome about you being a gamer kitten back then. Element says, hiya. Welcome, Element Zero. Welcome to the feed. Rose says, I have a friend who assumed I couldn't play. I proceeded to thrash him in Dead or Alive. Cool. Tekken Naruto game over 60 times. I was so tired. And when he won, he snapped at me saying I lost on purpose. That's a great story. Katsuya says, good night, Mrs. Bella. I love Mario Kart 2. Have all of them still. 30 or not, I will still play them. I agree with that. Go you. That's awesome. Rose says, dude, I wanted to stop 50 games ago. Melissa says, I need to go now, but it was lovely talking to you. It was lovely talking to you as well, Melissa. Please have a great night. Element Zero says, Ragnarok Online was fantastic and I still play well. Currently playing Destiny 2 and streaming over my channel. That's awesome. But I'm streaming your stream on my stream through my stream right now. That's like some kind of witchcraftery magic. How do you do that? That's impressive and really cool. Annette says, my favourite old games are Chrono Trigger and Final Fantasy VII. I loved Final Fantasy VII intensely. EverQuest 2, I did not. I never played EverQuest 2. I mean, I knew about it, but I never played it. Since I still play WoW. Yeah, a lot of my friends still play WoW and they hang out in their guilds and they raid and you know, the same old thing. It's kind of cycled a bit. A lot of them are playing the classic now, so that's cool. Rose says, I love horror games. That's awesome. Ninja says, 1994, mostly Xbox. So for me, I played mostly Halo. Yeah, Halo was very popular, and Skyrim as well was very popular. Element says, didn't the Xbox come out in 2001? I don't know the answer to that, but I bet one of you guys do. And Anthony says, never. Winter Nights never left. I enjoyed hearing about your gaming, and it's giving me ideas to suggest about you. Is it bad that I know Oliver Cromwell from the Monty Python song? No, that's not bad. I'm a big Monty Python fan, actually. I'm a big fan of Life of Brian, actually. I think it's really great. And the Dead Parrot skit is fantastic. Not to mention the Lumberjack song. Red Cardstone says, Charles Owen says, not at all. Going through, sentenced to death. He refused to accept. Watchmen, had jury distinction. Laughing. Megan's Gold says, hello, welcome, Megan's Gold. I should check on the Facebook chat because I've not checked on it in a long time and they're probably feeling quite lonely over in Facebook land. King Charles is the original party king. Yes! Yes, Andrew Wilson, he was. Cheers to that. The original party king. In fact, there's this thing called Horrible Histories. When I was growing up in England, it used to be a series of books that would teach you about history, right? There was like the terrible Romans and whatever else. There's a bunch of them. Awful Egyptians, right? And it was each thing, but they had a great Party King song. They actually turned it into like a web series. And even though it's designed for kids, like I've watched this web series of Horrible Histories, and it is hilarious. It makes me laugh. It's funny. The writing is witty. You guys should definitely check it out. Like, even if you're an adult or a teenager, like, I highly suggest Horrible Histories because it's freaking amazing. That's what I'm missing right now, says Zero Coffee. Indeed, go get yourself some coffee as I drink my green tea here. D-Sensei says, sipping on my Southern Style iced tea right now. Is Southern Style iced tea alcoholic? Am I missing is there some joke in there that I'm missing? It's Inception, says going to sleep right now. Take care, Thomas Tybur. I still don't know how to pronounce your name. Came from a rigid area, Jamestown, etc. Have you watched a lot of anime lately? Yes, I'm a huge anime fan. Most recently, I've been watching Neko Para, but I've also been re-watching Hellsing and Hellsing Ultimate, like, together to compare the animation and storyline between Hellsing and Hellsing Ultimate, and it's been awesome. I'm really glad I took the time to do that. Like, I've always loved Alucard and Integra and Hellsing and stuff, but I'd never watched them kind of like in that way. I've also been rewatching The Ancient Magus Bride with Ilias and Chise, because it's one of my favorites. I think it's so romantic, and I love the storyline, and it takes place in England, so it makes me super nostalgic for my home and my family. Really, like, I cry when I watch this anime. It's terrible. But if you have any anime suggestions, put them below, because I'm looking for new animes to watch, and I think that would be super cool. So if you have any suggestions, I want to hear them. I need the holy hand grenade. Yes, I love that. And the rabbit, the vicious rabbit, is really great. Rose says, I love those book. The illustrations are fantastic. I agree. Megan's Gold said, will you be selling the bracelet collars? Oh, do you mean, are you talking about these? I feel like Wonder Woman, like I could great pal. Let me take one off and you can tell me if this is what you're talking about. They're kind of like the Cartier bracelets of the Chateau World. These are the gold ones, actually. These are like the blank ones, but they're kind of like the collars, but they're smaller, and they go on the wrist. I can just slip it on because my wrists are tiny. But I actually have two on right now. The other one's like hidden in the sleeve, so they're really cute. I'm a big fan of them. I don't actually think they're on the website yet. They're not released. I have them, however, in black, silver, and gold currently in stock. So if you want some goods, hit me up. It sounded like a drug dealer then. If you want some goods, just opening the jacket. I have collars. I have collars for kittens for sale. I had the Sid in My Face song as a ringtone in college. That's great. Of course, I was thinking about, when you said that, the Lords of Acid song, Sit on My Face, which is also a great song. Element Zero says, I'm really happy your stream is working right now. Got to get back Destiny 2 on my stream. Much bunker busting to do before the weekend starts. Heart Helsing. Well, very good. Go get back to your stream and have some fun. I'm really glad that my stream is working as well, because it wasn't working the other day and I was really embarrassed. As someone who's trying to be a Twitch affiliate, it was vaguely embarrassing. Rose says, I've been rewatching Utena and the original Sailor Moon. I love both of those animes. I really loved Utena. I think like the soft lesbian aesthetics of it were fantastic. Really, really loved that. Utena's amazing. I also... But have you watched the new Sailor Moon, the Sailor Moon Crystal? Whatever it is, it's like the remake of it. I watched it, and I'm kind of like, here's the thing. There definitely is a small part of me that's disappointed about it, because there were certain episodes I loved so much, because they were very dark, and definitely, in some cases, a little bit BDSM inclined, with like Prince Diamond is an example there, right? And what they did was, to make it manageable for a modern audience, which I understand, is they switched it up and made it a lot more PG-13. However, I just really, really love the original storyline. I was hoping that Sailor Moon would be slightly more faithful to it in some respects, but they modernized it, which is fine. I totally understand it. Not mad, but I was kind of like, oh, I would have loved to have seen that scene in particular. And yes, they did the scene, but they cut a lot out of it. I'd love to have seen it in all its glory. Where she wakes up and she's in a dress and she doesn't even know how she got in a dress, but obviously the guy put her in a dress, while she was, knocked out or whatever, and then it's very BDSM, and he's holding her and forces her to kiss him, so they totally changed that and swapped it out, so it's not quite as dark as the original. And I think there is something to it. Like a lot of my BDSM fantasies come from animes like Sailor Moon? Definitely they did. Okay, scrolling down. Big says Helsing is awesome. I agree. Who's your favorite Helsing character? For me, it has to be Integra. I love her cold British stance. She's just a badass, powerful woman who is completely in control of Alucard in that Dom kind of way. Like, he is her dog, and she knows how to take care of England and take care of her people, and she does it very well. And I also love the butler, Walter. He's great. He's such an underrated character. He's really, really cool. And of course, Alucard. So who's your favourite Helsing character and why? Cowboy Bebop, says Rose. I like Cowboy Bebop. I haven't rewatched that one in a long time. I actually watched that one as a kid. It would be like on Cartoon Network, kind of late at night, and they had Adult Swim and stuff, so I'd watch all these kind of, like, I really like Tenchi Muyo. I really, really like Ryoku and Ayaka, and I used to watch that as a kid, and I would never understand. They had these scenes, right, because it was on Cartoon Network, where they'd say it was tea, and they'd drink tea, and then they'd all be blushing, and they'd have like red blush over their face, and they'd be like in the hot springs, and they'd be like flirting and doing all this stuff with Tenchi, and I didn't understand why the tea would make them blush. But what I didn't realize that was actually how they dubbed it to make it more kid family friendly, right? But in reality, in the original anime, they're actually drinking sake, and it's hot sake, which is a mushroom based, like, Japanese alcoholic beverage, or sometimes rice based as well, and they totally sold it as tea. And so I remember when I was like 10 or something, to my mum, I was like, I need to buy some Japanese tea, and she was like, why? And I was like, don't ask questions, Mum, I just need the blushing Japanese tea. And I got it, and I even had it in a little sake cup, and I'd sit there drinking it, thinking I was really cool. I would be like on the AOL chat, you know, where everyone used to be like ASL, right? And I'd be sipping my tea on my like anime username. I think it was like Angel Kitten for You or something. And it was just great. Such good childhood memories. I was so innocent back then. Sam Passion said, did you ever read Redwood Abbey back Mossflower? Yes, I it's funny, someone was talking about this the other day on the chat, and I, as a kid, I loved Redwood Abbey, and I loved Mossflower, and I desperately wanted, and I even told Daniel today, I wish that they would make that into an animated Netflix original. I think that would do really, really well. They're really good books, they have great plot line, they're really extensive, you could get a lot of source material out of it. And like, here's the thing is they did like Watership Down, the Rabbit book, they reanimated that into a Netflix kind of like CGI original. Why couldn't they do an animated Redwood Abbey? I think that would be wild and really, really cool. And speaking of things that are being made into animations, I'm a really big fan of the online comic Lore Olympus. And in fact, she just got picked up by, so Webtoons are the people who produce her comic online, right? She'll do the animation and they post it, but it's really cool. They're actually doing a collaboration with Jim Henson, the puppet company, right? So they're actually the people who did like Dark Crystal and recently redid Dark Crystal. I believe it was on Netflix, and it was amazing. They're actually going to be animating Lore Olympus, which is the story of Hades and Persephone and their romance. Kind of like a modern twist, but it's still like ancient Roman as well. You should definitely check it out if you've not read it. It's amazing. I'm so excited to see the Jim Henson company take this project on and bring Lore Olympus to life. Like, it's going to be mind-blowing. I'm so excited about it. Red says, I feel the Helsing original did character building better, had some memorable themes, but Ultimate had better story arcs and better... I agree. Also, like, Helsing Ultimate, the animation is better in that one too, but I really like in the original Hellsing, that first episode with the police girl, like, it's much sexier in Hellsing original than the remake in Hellsing Ultimate. Like, the whole thing with the priest, and where Alucard has to shoot her in the stomach and make that decision, you know, the consent aspect too. Like in the original, he's like, he has to ask her, he's like, do you, you know, I have to shoot, are you okay with that? Do you want to become a vampire? And then she's like, yes. Whereas in the other one, he kind of shoots her, and then afterwards, it's kind of, and then there's a whole weird, in Hellsing Ultimate, it's like a chibi scene where she's all running around being chased by her old comrades, like as zombies, and it doesn't feel quite as sensual or romantic as the relationship between her and Alucard in the original. I think it's better done original, but I love the animation better in Ultimate. Tokyo Mew Mew, says Rose. I loved Tokyo Mew Mew. I thought that was excellent. I really, really liked that anime a lot. Especially because it had cat girls in it. And parrot girls, for that matter. Savage Passion says, did you ever read what we covered that good? Element says, I am the Enchanter. That's great. Decensor, also I suggest Hellsing Ultimate Abridged by Team 4-Star. I've not watched that, Daniel. I will have to check it out. Rose says, Full Metal Alchemist. Well, that's an anime that brings tears to the eyes. Scrolling through, Rose says, so good, love that game too. Awkward Encounter IRL, says Red. As pretty much I wear my vampire outfits everywhere. That makes you awesome. I did sort of friends going to a tabletop gaming store. Also had my wide brim hat. Very Vampire Hunter D. Instead, a guy comes up and assumes I'm cosplaying Alucard and didn't realize that I actually just look like that. That's awesome. That's such a great story. I would have paid good money to have seen that. Like, that's how cool that sounds. Man, I want to see a picture of your outfit with you as Alucard. That sounds really cool. Megan says, I love that one. Keep checking the website. Only when I wore stocking, heels and ears. Canny says, beautiful view. Thank you, Canny. Welcome to the feed. This is the life of Kitten. And we're in quarantine. And I have a chicken to keep me company. And a Kiki's delivery service cat. It's great. I don't feel nearly as lonely. Especially if you guys are around, it makes me feel not lonely at all. Savage Press says, yes, Hellsing Abridged is my favourite. What's a blood rage and why don't I remember last night? Right, absolutely. Will you get a new tag for your collar? I have, hang on, wait right here. I'll show you guys something, okay? Don't go anywhere. Okay, I'm back. I have 3 different kinds of tags to show you guys. Check this out. Okay. So, one of these tags is, like the Chatter's gone through a history of different kinds of tags that we've had for sale and gifted and awarded to models. This is one of the original tags. This was, I don't know if you actually be able to see it here, hang on. This was one of the original tags. As you can see, it says the Chateau on it, and it's kind of got a silver filigree. It's actually a black tag. There. Those were made by Alandra, and you'd kind of have them on your collar like this. They were round and really cute. And then we have the new generation of tags, which are very recent and are actually directly inspired by Lady and the Tramp, the Disney animation, the original. Because if you remember, Lady on her collar had a diamond-shaped kind of tag, and so you can see the chat reflecting that. It's so reflecty. But there you go. It's a little diamond tag, and it's very small and delicate, but it sits on the collar. And then we also have that tag in gold as well. and they have tiny little diamonds, and these diamonds are so small, but they're encrusted around the edge, and these tags are they're super reflective when you're in public, which I really like because they shine like a mirror. And so those are the current and past Chateau tags. There was actually one other tag too that I don't have an example of to show you guys, but it was a Texas based tag, which was a small tiny round tag, and it had the lone star, the little star, Texas star in it, and that was specifically made a few years ago just for Texas Chateau kittens, of which we actually have a very large number of kittens in Dallas and Austin. Okay, scroll down. Lol, you would choose Integra. Oh, you can be, yeah. And the funny thing is, I'm so like Integra, like I will smoke cigars a lot. Like I really enjoy. I don't smoke cigarettes, but I do smoke cigars, and so I'll sit there, kind of like running Chateau business from my business desk, you know, smoking my cigar, and I will just have a total Integra moment. It's amazing. I just need a really good, vicious vampire who can just, you know, follow out all my orders to kill all my enemies in the world. Would be amazing. If I had an Alucard to protect me from all the crazy stalkers and all the hardships we go through, that would be amazing. But I've not found one yet, and I don't have a good butler either. I need a decent, handsome butler to bring me tea. Like, I'm quite a big fan of Black Butler as well, the anime, but I really, again, I love Walter, the butler from Hellsing. He's amazing. Yeah, do you guys remember Tenchi Muyo? Oh, Castlevania. Now that's an anime I love. I mean, I love the Castlevania games, predating that. Kind of like how there were Witcher games, and then there was the Witcher TV show. I liked how there were Castlevania games like Castlevania Symphony, and then now there's the Castlevania anime, and I'm a really big Lenore fan. Like, I love Lenore. She's so sexy. I cosplayed her, and I think the cosplay, it just came out really well. Like, hundreds of people shared the cosplay image. I even put it in the Castlevania fan page, and everybody really liked it. And I love her personality, because she's, like, here's the thing, is I'm definitely like a submissive in terms of my bedroom stuff, but in all seriousness, it's mostly because there's not really too many dom women that I can associate with in media or in movies, because none of them really match my personality type. Lenore is the only dom in an anime that I can relate to, because she's like a soft-core dom, right? So she's actually really pretty, she's really feminine, she's a very small frame, she's really polite, she's really nice, and yet she's still dominant, and she doesn't take shit from people, right? She still knows what she needs, and she still knows how to get like her gratification from Hector and stuff, but she does it super polite. And Hector tries to like strangle her and stuff, and instead of like being angry, she just comes back and she keeps her manners and she keeps her calm, and she's super nice, and it's just really admirable in a character. And I'll show you guys my other favorite characters. You'll like this. It's going to be super cute. They'll be worth it. Yeah. These are my other two favorite characters from Castlevania. Is obviously you have the Dracula, and these are the Pop Funko figurines. But then I also have Elisa Tepes, who's his wife, who was burnt at the stake in the... Look, they're kissing. It's great. They're burnt at the stake in the first episode. So this one's actually made by Funko Pop, so anyone can buy it. No, the Lisa one, I actually had it custom made, so it doesn't exist, you can't buy it, but I felt like they needed to be together, you know, and that was important, so they hang out on my shelf together and, you know, can live their happy romance lives, which is nice. Have you seen Carol on Tuesday? No, Andrew, I've not seen Carol on Tuesday. What's that? What kind of tea am I drinking? I'm drinking 2 different teas. Check this out. I'm like multi-teaing. This one is a gunpowder green tea, and this one is a peppermint tea. It's great. multitasking. I was so happy about one episode of Pretty Sashimi where Ayaka and Roku, the schoolgirls fighting, use their magical powers to make them fall in love. I remember that episode. Man, it really takes me back. I haven't seen it in so long. I almost want to rewatch Tenchi Muyo because I really just thought it was like a very fun, kind of like engaging anime. Truly. Oh wait, there's a animated Redwall cartoon? Are you guys serious? Dude, I would love to see that. Seriously, can you link that on Facebook right now? I would. Voiced by Tim Curry? What? Where has this been all my life? Wow. That's so cool. Good night, Andrew. Sleep tight. My favourite tag, says Rose, is the diamond-shaped one. Diamonds are and always have been my favourite shape. Me too. Diamonds are a girl's best friend, don't you know? I love the gold tag. It's so exquisite. I'm so behind you guys. I'm sorry. I'm trying to get back to where you guys are. I'd also like a strong, sexy vampire to do my bidding and a butler as well. Yes. Let's get butlers. Make my tea. Service my sexual needs. Preferably all at once. Red says, I want a show dedicated to stereo vampires. Do any of you guys like Vampire the Masquerade? And if so, what house of vampire would you be? Like a lot of people, for me, they say, oh, you must be a Toreador because you do painting and stuff. But I'm definitely more like a Ventrue because I have that nobility and loyalty thing going on where I really like the way that they operate. I've been doing a lot more research on it and I think it's awesome. Red says, I feel like they were golden girls of anime vampires. That's awesome. I love the golden girls. Rose says, I'm going between rose tea and catnip tea today. They have catnip tea? Are you serious? Is that a thing? I need that in my life so badly if that's actually a thing, Rose. And of course you'd be drinking rose tea because your name is Rose and it makes perfect sense. And so it would be great for a gentleman's lapel pendant. Yes, in fact, we have one of these that is a gent's pendant and it's actually you kind of can like pin it on your shirt or whatnot for a gent. It's not actually released, but I do have some here in the house. Hopefully the butler can shuck oysters. Well, my God, Candy, you're telling me. Actually, it's funny, the day that we all came down with the dreaded coronavirus, we were actually holding an orgy after the vampire ball. So that's why I jokingly called it the orgy flu before we knew what it was. So all these vampires were having this really awesome orgy, and I swear to God I went to Whole Foods and I bought 74 oysters, okay? Can you imagine how much that cost? It takes like several dollars each. I just went crazy and spent all my money on these oysters. And the crazy thing is everybody actually did eat them, but I had to shuck them because nobody else knew how. And so I just spent like hours shucking oysters, but then I got to put them in Claudia's naked body and it was amazing. And you know what? I regret nothing. Even though we all got sick and some of us are dying, I still do not regret that orgy. It was a great vampiric experience. It was very fun. Anthony says, better than vaping. Vaping gives you coronavirus. That doesn't sound very fun at all. I don't want to get that. Rose says, my catnip tea is from Indigo Teas. Can humans ingest catnip, the actual plant, or is it just called catnip tea but it's something else? I'm super curious. Rose, I agree with you. I love seafood too. I love oysters, especially raw, fresh oysters. I really love mussels, like steamed mussels in a pot is amazing. I have 2 lobsters sitting in my freezer. As you guys know, I had that salmon earlier. Like, I have such a love affair with seafood. and crustaceans in general. Like my dad, it's funny, my father, I would come home, and you know how it's like a pescatarian is someone who only eats fish? Like I would come home every day and my dad would only be eating shellfish. Like he was a shellfish-arian, if that's a real thing. But I'd come home and he'd be eating crabs or lobsters or winkles or whelks, which are like small little mollusk crustacean things that nobody else in the world really eats. And I grew up around such exotic, strange seafood, you know. But I really, really love it. I think I had my first oyster when I was like 6 or 7 years old. And it's definitely, a lot of people are like, oh my god, it's terrible because it's like the sensation of it, right? They call it texture. It's like the food texture, because oysters are so slimy. A lot of people, when they eat them, are just immediately get that kind of gag reflex, and so it becomes a negative experience, and they don't like oysters as a result. But the correct way to like get into oysters and understand oysters is having someone to introduce them to you. And it's like certain settings. First of all, you want to be in a really good setting. So if you can manage it, I would always say be by the seaside. Hear the ocean like rolling in. It's wonderful. And if you can't do that, find a nice restaurant, you know, or somewhere that's like atmospherically pleasing and romantic, because your mind will associate the positive experience with the atmosphere you're surrounded by. So when you try oysters, Archimedes is like, please, I left his light on. Oh, he's so funny. He lets me know. It's really cute. He lets me know at night if I accidentally leave his light on. He'll tell me, like, Mum, can you turn off my light? So I'm gonna go turn it off for him super quick. Sorry, baby, I left your light on. Here you go. Okay. I got the light for him. That was actually super cute. But yeah, I always tell people, like, when you have your first oyster, think about it like if you've ever been swimming in the ocean and you've accidentally like swallowed some seawater, you'll remember like that seawater is very salty, and even in the air there's a certain scent that you can smell of the ocean. It has a very specific kind of smell to it. So when you're eating an oyster, you should totally think about that salty, that watery sea taste, because when you have an oyster you can taste the ocean. So if you have any positive memories of the seaside, it will like give you those positive memories. Or for me, like I also go to New Orleans every year, and I have a lot of the local Louisiana oysters, which are a lot larger than the ocean ones. And when I have those, they're like river-based kind of oysters, but the taste, I feel like I'm tasting New Orleans. So all my positive memories of New Orleans kind of go into that, which is really cool. So I always tell people, just imagine that. And yeah, they are an aphrodisiac. Like oysters are a very sexy thing. It's actually been proven. They actually did a study at Edinburgh University of oyster eating, and it was proven that they do have, even though it's a placebo aphrodisiac effect, which is kind of cool. I'm hungry now too, but you know what, we're in the apocalypse, so no oysters for us. It's funny, you know, I'm probably not going to have, oh my god, it makes me want to cry, it's crazy. I love oysters, so that's how much I love oysters. I'm like crying over it. I'm probably not going to have an oyster for like a year. As a cat girl, that's like a death sentence, okay, that's pretty bad. I don't want to think about that. Oh, that's giving me real, you want to know what gives me anxiety late at night? It's things like that. Yes, Ricky's first oyster was off of Claudia, and it was glorious. And I totally I was so worried that he was gonna hate it, because a lot of people do. They just really just don't like it, and that's okay. But you know what? He did it, and I was super proud of him. And I get the thing also, people are really scared of being allergic to oysters, as well as the other thing. So I get it totally, but once you get past that, it's such a magical experience. There's nothing like it in the whole world. Oh, Rose, I'd love my future Dom to feed me oysters. I would love to watch your future Dom feed you oysters. There you go. That sounds like a very hot scene. I wonder, is there a way on Twitch to mark your feed as mature, so you could say, hey, this is a mature feed? Because I've seen a couple of people's streams that say this stream owner has marked this feed as mature, and that way it, because I want it to be obviously Twitch is a kid-friendly platform, but I'd be really interested to know if there's like a way to, obviously there's a way, I'd be really interested to know how to mark the feed as mature. I think would be good. Anthony said Marquis Who's Who in America. What's that? Marquis Who's Who in America? I'm going to refill my green tea because it's out. You'll have to tell me what that is. Okay, I have returned with tea. With tea. It's like a little tea dance. Tea dance. I'm like balancing on my heels right now. That's good. It's good stuff. Don't you think, Chicken? Isn't it good? Life is good. It's okay. The apocalypse is here, but we're all in it together. Okay, scooting up here. Okay. I've got like green tea on my lips. It's not a green lipstick, I promise. Why no oysters for a year? Says Tiger Fly. Well, why do you think is the real question there. So like the last time I had an oyster was right before I got sick with coronavirus, actually, ironically. And that was at the Denver Vampire Ball, which was right at the end of February, right? Which some of you guys were there at. And when do I think... It's not... Don't worry, it's not personal at all. I mean, oysters are fabulous, but it's not personal. But then, let's do the math, right? Let's say my last oyster was end of February, right? And then now with the pandemic, all of the restaurants have been forced closed. Add on top of that, I live in Colorado, which is a landlocked state. So anytime you have oysters here as well, it's kind of like playing Russian roulette. It's like, which oyster will give me shellfish poisoning? But that aside entirely, so say there's no restaurants open delivering, and with the plague here, you know, nobody's flying in fresh oysters to Colorado anyway, I guarantee it. And then imagine on top of that, that the main time of year that I have oysters is in New Orleans, which is in October. Now add on the fact of that pandemics, historically speaking, last an average of 12 to 18 months. I just don't think I'm going to be having any oysters anytime soon. I think I'm going to be in isolation for a long time now, months in fact. I believe that the pandemic will get better in the warmer months because the coronavirus is very weak to heat and it denatures in relatively high temperatures. And so do I believe that like in June, July, August, everyone will think it's kind of gone away and we'll do Burning Man, it will be fine? Yes, that's possible. But then when the colder months hit, so we get to New Orleans time, which is like September, October, November, that virus will come back because pandemics always come back in these waves, right? So do I believe it'll come back in the colder months? Yeah, and that's going to suck. Because we're flattening the bell curve, but we're not actually exposing people to it. So we're kind of like, rather than getting it over and done with and just letting people be infected and moving forward, we're trying to do this clever game to preserve beds in hospitals and limited amount of respirators by instead saying, hey, everybody do social distancing, but it doesn't get rid of it. It just kind of like slows it down, so it's like a now or later problem. So do I still believe it'll come back in the cold months? Yeah. Do I believe it's going to be like 12 to 18 months? Yes. Spanish flu, I mean, some of these pandemics go for like 2 years, like yellow fever, or the Black Death, like 200 million people died from it, and that was over a span of several years. It sucks, I know, and I hate to be like, I don't want to be the depressing person about it, because I'd rather just say, yeah, things gonna be fine and we're gonna get rid of this, but I want to be realistic too about it. And historically speaking, you can just kind of look at history sometimes for your answers, you know. So no oysters for me for a long time. I love oysters. Maybe I could like order oysters to the house. Maybe someone would go to the ocean for all the kittens in the chateau, capture a bunch of wild oysters, get a private jet, because there's obviously all the aircrafts are stopping now, and fly them in. We need like a James Bond chap to do that for us. Yeah, Megan Skull says, I wonder if you're less likely to get it again since you already had it. That's a really great question. I had it, so I was like, yeah, I'm going to be like Superman. I can run around the grocery store for other people. I can buy TP for old ladies. I can go volunteer as a nurse and help people because I've already had it. I don't have a risk of being reinfected or catching it again. But then I read some really alarming articles on the internet. And it was all the same thing. It was like, girl in Japan tests positive for COVID-19 3 weeks after she recovered from COVID-19. And when I kept watching and seeing these articles, and they'd all say the same thing, like, you can catch COVID-19 twice. And I was like, what? How is that possible? And then I realized it wasn't that people were catching it twice. There's actually two strains of coronavirus floating around. And so what it is one is in America, the second one's slowly coming in, is that you can catch it twice. They're just different strains. Kind of like flu has several different strains. There's like flu, C, flu A and stuff. We have different influenza strains. So the same applies to COVID. So can you get it more than once? Unfortunately, yes. Does it mean it's likely? No. For the most part, if I'm done for quarantine, they officially said to me for quarantine 14 days. I've been quarantined now for 15, 16 days, roughly, but I still have the chest infection and the cough, and I'm still sneezing, so I still believe that I am infectious, so I'm not going anywhere. I'm not going to run out stores, but once I am better, I'm totally going to go out. I promised I was going to volunteer for nurse shifts because I feel like nurses are the most understaffed job in the country, and we really need healthcare at this point because America is woefully unprepared for a pandemic of this nature, and there aren't enough beds and there aren't enough ventilators, and people are not being tested adequately or quickly enough is another problem. We just don't have the resources necessary to get the accurate numbers, and because we're refusing to test people, I have so many people on my list right now that I could tell you definitely have COVID-19, but they're not, and as they call it, it's presumptive, but they're not being allowed to get tested, so they're not getting the accurate numbers. It's unfortunate. Yes, Candy, unfortunately you're correct. You said, Candy says, is Beltane and the summer party postponed? Yes, we had to cancel Beltane for the first time in a decade. In 10 years of running this party, we had to say no, we can't do it, and that sucked because I love that event. Like, I think Beltane is such a special festival, and it's so important to so many people in our community, and yeah, some of the events like New Orleans are kind of more commercial, and the big events, and there's thousands of people, and the Vampire Ball has hundreds of people, right, in Denver. But there's something really special about Beltane because it's this very pagan roots-based festival, which I think for a lot of us in the community allows us to kind of renew our spirits a bit, and it's playful, and because we do it at the ranch, it's like a really sexy event, and the girls dance around the maypole, and it allows nudity, and it's just it's strange because it's such like a sexy party, but it's so innocent and pure at the same time that I look forward. It's one of the few parties where I say, like, people say, oh, it's great, you're an event promoter, right? And this should be fun. And I'm like, yeah, but it's still work. And for the most part, when I'm running these events, I'm not partying, I'm working, right? And I have to be vigilant and stay on top of stuff and work. But Beltane is one of the few events where I can just kick back my heels and I have fun every time. Like, every single Beltane, I've had fun with my friends, especially with my girlfriends and my sisters. Like, it's very cathartic and enjoyable, and like the least anxiety inducing event. It's super fun. And so just to have to cancel that and I actually haven't made the public statement as cancelled yet, because I'm just secretly hoping the coronavirus will disappear, and I know it won't, so I have to be adult and do it. So tomorrow I'll probably make that announcement, but yes, it's cancelled and it sucks. My mother volunteered as a nurse. They're so unappreciated so often. It's true. It's like the most unappreciated field of work, honestly, and probably one of the most hard-working fields of work, because they say, oh, if you're a doctor, everyone's like, you're saving lives and stuff. But if you're a nurse, you're just a nurse, you know, and everybody walks over you and nobody cares. But they are really helping people, and they're putting themselves on the front line with the first aid responders, the healthcare providers, the doctors, the nurses, all of them are putting their lives on the line to help us, you know, and I think a lot of people truly don't understand or appreciate that, just how dire the situation is in regards to that. So it's really cool. We have a lot of kittens in the chateau who are actually nurses and work as like RN nurses or triage nurses, and I just super appreciate them right now, and I know it's really hard on them and everybody in that industry. So kudos to you if you're watching this channel and you're in the healthcare industry, which you're probably not watching this channel because you're actually working right now. Real stuff. Yes, Red says, they always say the person throwing the party never gets to have fun. They're too busy making sure everyone else has fun. That's the thing. I'll go around like, are you having a good time? Are you having a good time? Have a good time. Have a drink, you know. And then running to the door, and people will be like, this person needs to be on the guest list, but they're not on the guest list. You spend the majority of your night actually by the front door shepherding people in, and then there's all the freaking setup and the bar minimum and the staffing and the rigging, and I could tell you some crazy promoter stories. Like here, I'll tell you guys a story, okay? Chicken and I will tell you guys a promoter story. So I had this sometimes I have these stupid ideas as a promoter, right? I had this great idea one year. You guys remember, we talk about gaming, because this is Twitch. You guys remember Pokemon Go? I mean, it's still a thing, right? But it was basically a mobile-based platform where you could hunt Pokemon and they'd kind of appear in the room and you could capture them. It was really hot, right? It was like Furbies of the 90s, right? Pokemon Go was this huge fad. And so I said, I was like, hey, church nightclub. I was like, I have this great idea. And they were like, yeah? And I was like, what about we do a Pokemon Go party? And people can dress as trainers, or they can dress as Pokemon, and we'll actually have like a Pokemon tournament inside the nightclub, and we can have Pokemon drink specials and cosplay costume competition stuff, and it'll be really great. And everyone was like, yeah, that's like a really great idea. Pokemon Go is like, it's like super hot right now, you know? And I was like, yeah, this is a great idea. I was like, how about we have performances and like burlesque acts based around Pokemon, so we can have a girl like dressed as Jigglypuff singing and stripping her clothes off at the same time, and we can have fire performances like Charizard, but like dressed as Charizard but doing fire breathing. And they were like, yeah, this is really cool. So I go to the internet and I'm like, hey guys, I'm doing this party, it's Pokemon Go. And of course, everybody RSVPs because Pokemon Go is really hot. Like, I think like 1,000 people at the time had RSVP'd, and I was like, this is gonna be a great party. I'm super excited. And then the months rolled by, and Pokemon Go became less popular, and it was no longer the fad that it was. So the ticket sales crashed and tanked on the event. And I think I had sold, it was probably my worst financially speaking event of my life. And I think I sold like 20 tickets. I'm not even joking, like this is how bad it was. Usually I have events of like hundreds to thousands of people. I sold like 20 tickets to this Pokemon Go party, and I was just like, shit. I was like, but I still have to do it because these people have bought tickets, and even though the venue's expensive, I'm still going to keep it open, church nightclub, and the bar minimum as an example is like $11,000, right? I was like, I'm still going to do this. It's going to cost me a lot of money, but whatever. So we have the event. Sure enough, we have the burlesque stuff. We have like some Vulpix burlesque stuff, you know, which is the little vixen character, right? And then I want to say we had some Eevee Evolution burlesque, and we had the Jigglypuff singer. That was actually pretty good. The Jigglypuff, I want to say Lexi did it, and it was like super legit. Like, it was actually really good. And then, okay, the piece de resistance is we have this guy, and he's like dressed as Charizard, the fire lizard dragon Pokemon, right? And he has a trainer, and both of them are fire breathers in real life. So one guy's Charizard, and one guy is like, not Ash Ketchum, kind of, but basically Charizard's owner, right? And he's got the whole hat on and everything. Actually, maybe he was Ash Ketchum. Anyway, they get on stage to do the piece, and keep in mind, church nightclub is like a very old nightclub, originally a real church from the 1800s. Everything's wood, stained glass windows, kind of like Notre Dame, beautiful stained glass windows, and wood floor, right? So these fire performers come out and they start doing this act, and they're very drunk. That's the first thing I notice as I'm in the crowd. I'm like, these guys are intoxicated for one thing. They proceed to do the fire breathing stuff, which, as you know, if you do fire breathing, you basically spit out the fuel and then you light it, kind of, and it goes out, right? In theory, that's what it's meant to do. And I've seen it. I've had hundreds of fire performers, you know, with insurance and no problems whatsoever. Swear to God, this guy, the trainer, the Ash Ketchum guy is fine. He's doing his fire nothing. The Charizard guy in the Charizard costume is breathing out fire, but while he spat out the fuel, all of the fuel ricocheted onto his face, and so when he lit up the fire shot backwards and just engulfed his face in flames. Swear to God. He proceeds to, like, he's hitting his face, he's trying to, like, get his face not on fire, and his hair is all on fire. He gets the fire out, and I think, oh my God, that was a close fucking call. He's gonna stop. No, I swear to God, guy does not stop. He keeps going. He gets his torch, he puts it up, he spits out the stuff, ricochets onto his face. His whole head is just like in flames, and I'm like, and I'm like in so much shock. And he's completely just in his head is in flames, and he's got the torch, and he's spilt, while he's spitting, he spilt all this fuel onto the floor of the wood floor in the church. So there's all this fuel on the floor, and because his head is on fire, he proceeds to drop. He drops the fucking torch, the giant torch with a flame, into the fuel on the floor, and you know what happened. And I literally, it was like, never in my life have I had to intervene in a performance like this, but I was just like, no, and I just dive onto the floor on my stomach to grab the torch before it hits the flame and engulfs the entire floor of a wood church in flames. I just grab the torch and I'm just like, I've never handled fire in my life, and I'm just on the floor holding this fucking torch, and the guy's rolling around on the floor and his head's in flames and he's screaming, and I'm just like, oh my god, the trauma. And he eventually, like, people throw towels on his head and they get it out, all his hair is like burnt off, right, and his face was, but oh my god, it was insane. And he's like, I'm fine, and I'm like, you're not fine, you have to go to a fucking hospital, like, now. And I was just like, we've got to cancel this party, like, it's, and I made everyone leave, and we just closed the whole thing down, and we're going home, and we're in the car, and I'm sitting there, like, in the car with Daniels, he's driving home, and I'm in the passenger seat, and I'm just, like, I'm like staring into the abyss, and Daniel's looking at me, he's like, are you okay? And I'm like, it was the twiceness. It wasn't, it just happened once and he got out. He did it twice. It was really traumatic. So the next day I get back and I'm a promoter, and I'm like, man, Thanos, and he's the really nice guy, he's manager of the church nightclub. I'm like, he's never going to forgive us. He's never going to let us do another event at the church nightclub again so long as we live. Because we fucked up, man. We fucked up real bad with the Charizard act and the 20 people in the nightclub. Like, I was just like, it's all over for me. And he was super nice. He had to pay to have the whole floor re-waxed, which cost him thousands of dollars. He never charged me for it. Bless his soul. Like, and he still let us do events there, and we still do events there to this day. True story, the Vampire Ball takes place at the church nightclub every year. So that's a true story of Promoter Rose. Donald! Oh, Donald's on the feed. He says, I remember the Pokemon Go party. It was still fun. The fire dancer was crazy. Yes, he was a wee bit crazy. It's true. Rose says, less Charizard, more magma. Absolutely true. It was a bit of a nightmare. It was mentally exhausting. Yes, all of that stuff is very, very true. It's very, very true. Anthony says, I like the Leia show. Are we talking like Slave Leia, like Star Wars Leia, Carrie Fisher, or another Leia? Yeah, church nightclub is such a beautiful venue, and it's such a privilege to be able to work with them. I will say that. Like, I couldn't imagine having the Vampire Ball, honestly, like anywhere else, because nothing else would do, really, would it? It's just for vampires. Like, yeah, we're having a party in this old abandoned church, and there's coffins and virgin sacrifices and all the fun stuff. So, I like it. I do. I should check on the Facebook people. I got so wrapped up in Twitch. Brandon Bishop says, check your messages. Brandon, if you're still in the feed, I'll check it once I'm done this, okay? Francisco Hernandez says, you have a good taste in games. Why, thank you, Francisco. That's a nice name. Francisco. Elf quotes, if any of you guys have ever seen Elf. Great Christmas movie, one of my favorites. Mark Stuff says, what is your favorite vampire novel? I think it goes without saying that my favorite vampire novel has to be Carmilla, which we discussed, by Sheridan LaFanu. I like it because it's a female vampire lead. She's powerful, it's erotic, it's alluring. The fact that she's also doubles as a cat, not just like a bat as it is traditionally. I really like that because it incorporates the feline. She's like the original vampire, honestly, is why I think that's super cool. What other vampire novels do I like? I mean, obviously Bram Stoker's Dracula is classic, and we talked about Polidori's The Vampire as well. I mean, but there's so many good vampire books out there. We talk about modern vampire books, like obviously we've got Anne Rice, which is really cool, but then I read one not too long ago, and it actually takes place in Denver, and a lot of the story is set around the church nightclub, and it's called The Vampire Psychiatrist. And it's actually, I have it in a library here at the Chateau, and it's a really good vampire book. So yeah, thank you, that was a good question. If you guys have any other questions, feel free to ask me and I will be happy to answer them. I wish I could check these other comments on here. I wonder if I can. Well, it's like 56 comments in here. How do I check them? Oh, I bet I can do it on the phone. I just had an idea, guys. I know what I have to do. Megan Skull says, during our quarantine, I'm rereading the Vampire Chronicles. What is the Vampire Chronicles? I don't think I've actually heard of that vampire book, actually. You should tell me all about it. Okay, that's what I'm going to do to make this easier, because I've just totally been ignoring the Facebook people, and that sucks for them, so I'm going to try and is it actually, did it even go on Facebook? Okay, got it, here we go. Okay, I found it now. But I can't actually scroll through the comments. This is silly, so silly. Sorry guys, give me 1 second. I'm just figuring out some streaming problems here. I'm gonna put it on the Chateau page on Facebook, which should be really fun. And then also in the Girls of Kitten Play group. And then finally in the Colorado Vampire Court, which is another awesome group that I run. So there we go. It's now shared in all the Facebook places. Yeah, I've actually been running the stream for 2 hours now, and I think maybe it's just because I'm lonely. And that sounds really sad, but it's true. I think this quarantine thing has kind of left me a little bit lonely. On the plus side, though, on the Twitch now, earlier I said we had 60 subscribers. I was wrong. We actually have over 80 subscribers now, which is so cool. Megan says there's 12, I believe. Whoa, so there's 12 Vampire Chronicle books? Is that what you're saying? I've got to check this out. Who's the author on it? I should feel like I should read this. I also used to watch, I mean, this isn't a book, but you know how it was like Vampire Diaries? I used to watch the originals, which was really cool because it takes place in New Orleans, and I love New Orleans so much, and I feel such a strong connection to the city, and it does have such a vibrant vampire culture which is full of different groups and politics. So it was kind of cool to see the originals and the take they took on it of vampire culture and vampire groups within New Orleans. I thought that was super awesome. Oh my god, yes. Candy says, have you read the Claiming Beauty series by Anne Rice? Yes, I have, and I love it so much. I actually think all three of the books are some of Anne Rice's best work. It's a very erotic based novel involving a lot of BDSM and stuff, but it's really sexy and it's beautifully, eloquently written, and I love those books. I really love those books. And don't get me wrong, of course I love Lestat and Interview of a Vampire and all her other books, but the Claiming of the Beauty, the Sleeping Beauty, is just amazing. Oh, okay, there you go. It says The Vampire Chronicles is the vampire series by Anne Rice. That totally makes sense. I've not actually read the Vampire Chronicles, however I've obviously seen Interview of a Vampire and such, so. But damn, I really enjoyed The Claiming of Sleeping Beauty. I wish that would be made into a television series. Obviously, it's a little bit naughty, so it probably won't happen, but I feel like it would be super cool. Candy says, I'm almost done with the first book, and I love it so much. I think it's great. Whoa, I was like on someone else's live feed, and I looked at my phone, and there was just this like Italian guy walking through the street, and I was like, whoa, what's happening? That's funny. That's funny. I think because I didn't pay attention to my Facebook feed, that there's nobody on there, which is kind of sad. Yesterday, though, it was the opposite. Like, I paid all my attention to Facebook, and it was like crazy. There was like 200 comments or something on there. But today, I wanted to pay more attention to Twitch. I felt like that would be the right thing to do, because I'm trying to build a channel here, you know? Trying to become a Twitch affiliate. Red says, I first read The Claiming of Sleeping Beauty when I was 15. It changed my entire life. Dude, I so agree with you. I think I first read it when I was 17 or 18, and it changed my life as well. It's so just dark, but still romantic. I can't quite place it, but it's great. Red says, I have the first 3 books I brought Interview with me. When I moved to Baltimore by train during my first week there, I read all of it while sitting in a park between job searching. It was a beautiful place to read it. Exit to Eden. What's Exit to Eden? Is it another Anne Rice novel or something else? You guys are teaching me all sorts of new things tonight, which is super cool. Melissa says, Sleeping Beauty has been on my to-read list. Do you have any other BDSM-related books that you'd recommend? I do. Oh my god, I do. It's funny, in my library downstairs, I have literally an entire BDSM shelf. I almost want to grab some. You know what I'm going to do? I'll be right back, kids. I'm going to grab some of these, like some of the better BDSM novels from my library just down there, and you will just be, like, it'll be worth it, trust me. God, how am I carrying so many books? I was just going to grab like 1 or 2, but seriously guys, check this out. Crazy! This is just a small selection of my library downstairs of BDSM based novels. I'm going to try and very carefully Okay, this is gonna blow your mind. These are all of these are amazing books. Okay, we'll start with okay, we got the Anne Rice ones here. So I got the trilogy in a box set kind of thing. Obviously the books are inside there. There's 2 here where they're both, I'll show the backs because they're definitely not Twitch friend. I suppose I could just cover her boobs. This is Beauty's Punishment, and then this one is Beauty's Release, and obviously the first one is The Claiming. So, and I'll just cover the nipple there. But they are great books by Anne Rice. Fantastic. Okay. This book is called Playing, and it's by Melanie Abrams. And this is a really great BDSM novel. I'm not going to go into that one. There's a whole bunch of it in the back. There's so much to go through. Obviously, I have the Slave Girl of Gore. I have a lot of the Gorean books. I'm actually not a fan of Gorean culture. I think it's a little too misogynistic for my taste. But I feel like it's important if you have a BDSM library that everybody should own some kind of Gorean novel, right? It's like the basic thing. This I love. This book is called The Courtesan, and it's just such a sexy book. I'll read you a bit of the intro on the back here. From the glittering debauchery of Paris, the height of the Belle Epoque, to the treacherous intrigues of a royal Persian court, comes the new multi-generation lover from the awful Helders, the voice of Isabel Alana Persia. Set amongst the elegant chateau of the Belle Epoque in France. It's actually, trust me, great book. Carrie's Story, I'll just cover which is a great BDSM novel, but a little bit dark at times. This is great. This is actually a collection. This is called The Cat's Collar, and it has a bunch of different erotic romance novel stuff in it, which is kind of cool. I actually accidentally have this. It's actually a DVD of like a BDSM film. It's called The Captive Files. It's kind of a bit, if you guys ever seen The Secretary movie or Story of O, it's kind of like that. L'Histoire de O. This is by Stella Black, and it's called Daddy's Girl. That's Stella Black novels, and I would highly, highly recommend this book. We both knew it was up to him to lead. He took his time, the water nearly went cold. I'm not a patient person, and neither do I sit in cold water for any man. Even if he is one of the darkest and most beautiful looking I've ever seen. At least he stood up and gathered a vast white towel from the silver rails. Come to Daddy, he said. It's time for bed, and I knew I was home. That one's pretty good. This is my favorite book of all time. This is actually, honestly, probably one of the first true BDSM books ever written. It's called A Man with a Maid, although it's also known as The Way of a Man with a Maid, and other Victorian stories. It was an anonymously written Victorian erotic novel, which is about submission and BDSM, and it's really, really hot. Man with a Maid tells the story of Jack, a Victorian gentleman who plots sweet sexual revenge on a fiancée who has jilted him. He basically captures her and forces her to become his like French maid type thing, and it's just super, super sexy. It's my favorite. I actually found this funny. It's the first erotic novel I ever read, and I found it in my mother's bedroom, hidden in her bottom drawer, and I stole it from her bedroom, and I read the whole book, and I was so guilty that like I had stolen this book. But when we moved, I actually went out into the woods and set it on fire because I didn't want her to know I'd stolen it when we were moving stuff. But it's a great, great book. This is by Susan Wright. It's called To Serve and Submit. It's got a really beautiful cover actually. and it's just a great BDSM novel. Yeah, this is this actually is one of my favorites as well. It's funny looking back and now I'm kind of remembering all the plot lines. And now I think Delta of Venus, one of the most famous books. Very, very famous book actually, for kind of dominatrix stuff. This is a classic I think anybody who's into BDSM should have in their library. This is The Marketplace. So I actually used to be friends with this chap who was the Marquis de Valmont, and he owned the Maison de Valmont, which was a mansion in Chicago where he trained slave girls and stuff. And one of his favourite books was actually The Marketplace, so he had suggested this series to me, and it is a series, I've just got one of them here. And so I read it. I think it was written in the 90s, but it was just very famous for its time, and it's like, that is like story of O level famous in the BDSM world. This book is called The Disposable Girl. I've actually never read this book, so it's sitting in my library, but the reason I have this particular BDSM book is written by a girl called Kate Moulton, and she lives in Denver, and she currently lives in Littleton, which is where I used to live, in Colorado. So I think it's really cool that she's like a BDSM writer in Colorado, so it's good to support your local writers. And then this, I also haven't read this one, it's called Captive Flesh, but I loved the corset on the cover, and it says 19th century French convent girls Moretta and Claudine soon discover that their invitation to stay in the exotic palace of their handsome host requires something in return, submitting to the ecstasy of pleasure in pain. That sounds like a great book. I might even take this one to bed with me and read it, putting it over there, because that sounds really good. Yeah, Delta of Venus. I'm also a big fan of Venus in Furs. I actually recently saw the 70s movie rendition of it and really thought that was great. Yeah, it's a great selection of books. That was half of it. I couldn't carry the rest up. You just have to believe me. When I say I have so many more books, it's crazy. Because I do. It's the only same-sex book for women. That's why I would just go with Carmilla. Like, honestly, Carmilla is the best erotic, same-sex, sensual novel that comes to mind, in all seriousness. Hardcore on that one. Carmilla, all the way. And likewise, if you want to watch a good movie rendition, Hammer Horror made a movie called Vampire Lovers, and it's about Carmillas. It's about girls and girls, and it's so beautifully done. I'm a really, really big fan of that movie. And they call it the Karnstein trilogy because there's actually 3 of them, but Vampire Lovers is by far my favourite because it's just so good. Now I'm all wondering how I'm going to carry all these things back down the stairs. So many. Whatever shall I do? Well, maybe I'll worry about that once this feed is done. And I'm like, where did I put the phone? Aha! There's the phone. I found it. Yes, you definitely should watch. Yes, that's what I'm going to say. Delta of Venus reminds me of Venus in Furs. So they're saying the 70s version of Venus in Furs, that movie rendition is really good. And they both, to be fair, they both have some similarities in terms of topic. Turn up this music a bit. Thank you for hanging out with me, guys, and just chilling out. Like, it's been hard the last 2 days. It's been really, really hard and a little bit lonely. And I'm just trying, like, not to overthink it, you know. Well, I think maybe that Facebook one ended, I don't know. Okay, I'm thinking I'm gonna go now and try and carry all these books back downstairs. But I really appreciate you guys taking the time to just be here with me and stuff. Again, like I really, really am very thankful, and you've kept me company now the last several days, and I'm so close to becoming a Twitch affiliate, and it's very much in part thanks to you guys supporting me. And Red, thank you for being a moderator and taking care of all the creepy guys who were on the feed. I really, really appreciate that. That makes you awesome. And yeah, I'm gonna go and try and get some sleep now, but I'll be back tomorrow. I'm gonna try and do some kind of either painting or gaming. Hopefully we can figure out how to do this gaming thing, 'cause it would be fun to like play games with you guys and have you guys watch that. So fingers crossed. Until then, I hope that you have a wonderful evening or wonderful day, depending on your time zones, and you guys are in different time zones, and that you take care of yourselves during this pandemic, and lots of love. Okay? Take care, guys.